We make sure we pound the ball. Okay. And another reason for pounding the ball is because so many kids, they dribble with a flat hand
Yes, yeah.
when they're younger, which is funny. I think we've all done it, right?
Right, right.
And I like to pretend, we have a bowl in our hand or a suction cup, so that ball sticks to our hand. We have to have a bowl, like we it suction cups right to our hand, because so many kids when they have a flat hand and dribble, you're not able to make any decisions, and that goes for older players as well. The more time that ball is in your hand, the more time you have to make a decision,
Right.
and just understanding that feel of the ball, and it gives you just more feel in general. Because if you're always doing it like this, like you have no feel, and you can't make any plays because you just don't have a feel of it. So
Right.
putting those things together, and feet, knees, shoulders, base, and then just slowly building it up to a little bit of movement. You'll see a lot of progressions in a few weeks. So it's pretty nice.
Right. And even in today's game, one thing I love is you're seeing the likes of, Kyrie, Damian Lillard, SGA, Luka Doncic. They're all great ball handlers, but they all create separation very differently and at different speeds and at different angles. So for yourself, coach, like you emphasize a lot just about separation moves as well. So how do you teach players to create separation without over dribbling?
And to me, that's more about changing your pace. So going slow to quick. And one thing growing up, and to be honest, this is something I learned as I've gotten older, is I was always quick and explosive. So I could always beat the person in front of me, which is great. But at the end of the day, as you get older and older and older, you start playing against better players, more athletic players. Beating that first person is great and all, but what are you going to do after that?
Sure, yeah.
So you can't just use your speed at all times. The best players in the world, if you watch an SGA, a Jalen Brunson, they play at their own speed and own pace 24/7. And you can see them when they go quick, but 90% of the time they're playing slow because it's so much harder to guard going from slow to quick, 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 slow, slow, quick. That is much, much harder to guard. And I would say it really isn't about the move. It's once again how you move.
Yeah.
Are you going slow to quick? If you're just going fast all the time, that's very predictable and easy to guard.
Mm,
But when you turn the jets on and stop on a dime, there you go. You just created separation by just slowing down.
yeah.
So I would say it's more so the speed of what you do things and just the pace that you play rather than what move you do or when it comes to separation.
Yeah, you see, I can tell just your coaching philosophy. I can just tell, coach, that you're big on it's not the drill or the move that makes the player, it's the understanding of that
Of
move.
how you do it. Yep.
Exactly, so I love that. I love that.
Oh,
And
100%.
just even with regards to, you approaching, how players should finish through contact, whether it's, smaller guards, tall guards, how would you take that approach?
So that's another thing, right? 'Cause me being a smaller guard,
Yeah.
um, getting into the paint wasn't, and a lot of the time I'll kind of break this down from a coaching point of it too. Like smaller guards, just like myself, 6 feet under, whatever you may be. Getting to the paint is very crucial.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand that all of being able to get to the paint and make that right decision isn't, the ball or need to say it's from your feet, like, so when you get there, how good is your balance?
Yeah.
You see, like, I'll come back to somebody that has great balance, and that's Jalen Brunson. He gets to the paint, he's always playing off 2 feet, so he can always make the next play. You rarely see him play off one because when if you jump off one leg and get bumped,
Yeah, that's it.
right, you have no balance.
Yeah.
It's over with. It's over with. That's why you see a lot of these higher level players play off 2 feet. A Shea, SGA, all these guards. Those are just two that stick out to my mind. Um, but just being on balance and having a good base is what allows players to make that next play, whether it be for yourself or for a teammate. But obviously playing lower to the ground is great. A lot of the guys are like, how do you play so low? Like, I get, you don't understand how many messages I get a day of, how do you play that low? And playing low, it's not just like, hey, I picked up a ball and I can do this. A
Yeah.
lot of the time was spent in the weight room, being able to do certain things, getting your body strong. It's good to play lower, in my opinion, but it's good only when you're strong in those low positions.
Yeah.
Because if you're weak in those positions, it's pointless of what you're doing. So, just having a good base. It comes down to footwork and base, and that's why I love ball handling so much because if you can understand the rhythm and timing of ball handling and the balance that you need to be able to always change directions and move, translates to almost everything else that you do in the game of basketball.
Right. And I'm kind of curious now, Coach, because you brought up something in the beginning of the podcast, like not a lot of people realize in the videos, and then when you're in person with them and you throw them the ball, they're like, "Oh, damn, coach, this is like heavy as hell." Like, what's the reasoning behind working out with a weighted ball?
And that's all I do. So, like, I'm in a gym, like, when I get content, I'm in here for an hour just with a heavy ball. It feels like a regular ball to me now. It's
Wow.
almost my normal. So,
Wow.
a regular ball feels weird.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
yeah,
but,
yeah.
and people are like, "Does it work?" I'm like, "100% it works." It's just like weight training. Why do we lift heavier weights? So we get stronger at other things.
Sure.
I'm using a heavier ball. So but the thing is, it's not about like the hand speed. It's what it forces your body to do. Your body has to flow and move with that heavy ball to resist the weight, but it puts you in a position of how you should move with a regular ball. The flow and going side to side. And people are like, how do you dribble so fast? Well, it's not has nothing to do with my hands. Yes, it gets better over time the more you do things. But I talk about other sports. I love like just, putting things together. If you play baseball, right, you don't swing with your arms in baseball. You swing with your
Oh,
hips.
yeah.
If you're watching boxing, they're not
Yeah.
rock'em sock'em robots.
Mm,
They use their hips to do everything. Guess what? When I dribble, what do you notice? My internal rotation of my hips and the way I move, that's what allows that ball to snap back and forth and just move at a constant motion, keep it a good flow, and be very, very violent with the dribbles that I'm doing. So,
yeah.
just being able to just move, with that heavy ball is allowing me to use a regular ball and it feels like a feather. Not gonna lie. So it feels like a feather.
What made you, coach, want to specialize in ball handling? Like what was it something you lacked when you was younger, or did you just study a player that just kind of opened up your mind to questions like, how is he able to get to that spot? Then you kind of break it down and then you start teaching it. Like what made you so passionate about ball handling? Because I can tell you really got this down packed, and just even how you teach it is with like bullet points and layers and areas of emphasis. So where did that curiosity start from?